job. One is Jack Nicklaus. We were just talking. He said, I never discounted anything Jack said. We were talking about having the hands up a little higher in the backswing. And David, you can see students out here have the hands up. He's got this drill that's pretty new. Gravity golf was big success. He had big schools. They were in the airports.
Mm-hmm.
And he played the tour for 3 years, the PGA Tour. He's a good player. And done a lot of speaking, and he's really smart, as you will find out. He's very, very smart. Okay, go ahead, David.
Thank you, Jim. Well, I appreciate all you all coming out this evening. I hope you get something out of this. Basically what I want to talk about this evening is a faster, easier way to grow this game. I'm a great believer that one of the things that golf desperately needs in a day where kids learn on these cell phones, where their thumbs work faster than you can possibly imagine. I'm originally from Hot Springs, Arkansas. My grandfather put a club in my hand when I was about 4 years old. He and my father were both clinical pathologists, and my father was a good player, but my grandfather was a fanatic. He played every Thursday and Sunday afternoon of his life, except the Thursday afternoon my brother was born, and he never forgave him for that because he missed his golf game that day. But I remember when Ben Hogan's book first came out, it was published in a 5-part series in Sports Illustrated, and he couldn't wait for the next issue to come out. He would get me in his living room, and he would get me up there and tuck my knees in and put handkerchiefs under my elbows and get me in this position. And he'd go, all right, move. And I go, Pa, I can't move from here. He says, move, damn it. I'll never forget those lessons. They were really something. But I basically grew up in the era where Arnold, rest his soul, was not only an idol of mine, but later became a friend, and he was one of the greatest people that ever played this game, one of the finest gentlemen in the world, and the game will sorely miss him. But sadly for me, I picked him as a role model for my swing growing up without having any understanding of the consequences of going at the ball as hard as I could go at it with my shoulders. And I became a very good player in high school. I was state high school champion twice, and was the captain of the University of Arkansas golf team for the 2.5 years I was up there in both my freshman and sophomore year. And I was only beaten once in competition there by the Texas state champion, who slow played me in a dust storm in Lubbock. I'll never forget that. We got out there, and the pins on that golf course were only 3 feet tall because the wind would whip them right out of the hole. I got up on the first hole and I went, God, it looks like it's a long ways down there. The guy with me says, that's because the pin's only this high. So, yeah, I'll never forget that golf match. But I went on the tour in the early 70s for 3 years, and then for 1 more year, and I played in 1977, and then had a bad hand injury, and the bone didn't heal properly, and it wound up ending my playing career just as I was really learning to play. And I got into doing swing research full time in 1978, and I've been doing it ever since.
So between the fishing research.
But yeah, I love to fish. Fishing is my favorite hobby, but I love teaching this game, and I love studying the human body and the physics of the swing. You know, one thing that makes golf so complicated for people is that it's a multidisciplined endeavor. There's tremendous physics involved in the swing. There's a huge amount of physiology, a great deal of geometry, and then there's psychology, the voodoo science, which can confuse all of us. So I don't know a tremendous amount about each one of those disciplines, probably more physiology than anything else, but I've got 68 years experience in hitting golf balls, so between what I know in those disciplines and the experience I've had hitting golf balls, I've been able to kind of put this very complex puzzle. All of you here teach golf. You know how difficult it is to communicate with someone and try to get all their body parts. You look at a human being and you're talking about 640 muscle groups, the great majority of which have to work in perfect concert to hit a golf ball properly. And so we're looking at something that, in my opinion, should not be taught through a cognitive process. The game is about, in my opinion, is about body dynamics and learning to move all of your parts simultaneously so that you can develop perfect sequencing and perfect equilibrium, rotary equilibrium. See, we talk in golf terms about balance, where we really need to be thinking about it as a dynamic balance, not a static balance. What do you figure your arms weigh?
20 pounds?
More than that in your case. You're probably maybe closer to 30, maybe 28 pounds, something like that. That's a lot of weight to be swinging in front of your body, plus the weight of the club. Anytime you see a person that starts down and swings over the top, you know that person is starting the downswing from a stable position. Anytime you start the downswing from a position of balance, as soon as you move, the weight of your own arms and club are going to pull you out of plane. So it gets very difficult to see this because the two forces offset each other. When you watch Jack swing or Freddie, they move to the rear foot, back to the front foot. They fall onto their front hamstring as they complete the shoulder turn, what Jim appropriately calls the X factor. They land back just enough against the front leg with a slight sit down in the left femur so that their weight is deflected to an off vertical position. It's just like taking a 55-gallon drum and tipping it on its edge to roll it. If you've ever tried to do that, a barrel full of liquid weighs over 500 pounds. So if you take that barrel and you tip it back and you don't get the center of mass all the way over the edge and then you try to turn it, the barrel will pull itself back to vertical and pull you with it. If you get the center of mass exactly over an edge, a small child can turn that 500-pound barrel. And the golf swing basically works the same way. Now, the reason that I call it the gravity swing is because gravity works to, in a gravity player like Freddie Couples or Ernie Els or Louis Oosthuizen, Charles Schwartzel, there's more of them coming along now than there have been in the past, but by and large, most of them are learning it through mimicry instead of through understanding exactly how the thing should ideally function. When gravity works three places in the swing, gravity works to return your weight to your front foot. Your weight to your front foot, you fall from the angle between your head and your right foot. Okay, gravity starts your arms down, or should, and that's the number one problem in golf, is that most people don't allow that to happen. We'll talk about that in a minute. And momentum and gravity carry you into the counterfall. The weight shift basically is for power only. You don't have to have a weight shift to hit a golf ball, as you know, evidenced by the stack and tilt concept. Stack and tilt is nothing but a no shift golf swing, where they basically turn back, counterfall, and then turn the other way. When you add the weight transfer, it gives momentum to the start of the counterfall. Works exactly like the mound does for a pitcher. See, that's why these home run records nowadays are not comparable to what they had 50 years ago. Some bright person in baseball figured out that they couldn't put people in the seats with 1-0 ball games, so they dropped the height of the mound 5 inches and effectively gutted the pitchers. Now because it lowered their velocity on their pitches, plus it decreased the movement of the ball that was in the throws when the velocity, or when they were generating more power. So now in the golf swing, when we add the weight shift, that's just like adding the mound for the pitcher. So it's very, very important to understand that during the parts of the swing where gravity's working, it's imperative that we not be interfering with it. You work in the heave, what I call the heave, which is the first movement in the backswing. It's not a takeaway with the hands, it's actually a core movement where your core sets your arms into motion. You literally heave the tension out of your arms. They come up and absolutely deadfall starting the downswing. So if you watch Freddie when he swings, he throws it up here, and that's all his arms do in the swing. Now obviously you can't hit a golf ball doing that, but if I throw it up there and then drop back to my front foot and deflect off vertical, I just drop this, and a very gentle turn of the body will impart the sling to the arms that make it move. The modern day golf swing, by terms of the golf rules, is illegal. Do you know that?
No. I didn't know.
What does the rule book say in regard to hitting the ball? And every USGA person, which you know this well, will tell you the rule book means, every word in the book means exactly what it says. The rule book says the ball must be fairly struck at. That makes Arnold's swing legal, and it makes Freddie's golf swing illegal. In Freddie's mind, at the top of the backswing, the ball is not on the ground. It's on the end of the golf club. He just leans back, drops his arms, and the turn slings the ball from the club. So there is no attempt in his mind whatsoever to make a union between the club and the ball. He is not trying to hunt it. The instant that you try to hunt the ball in the downswing, although part of the energy, most of the energy goes to the golf ball, anytime you start down with a flex, what happens? Some of the energy goes back into the body. Anything that internalizes causes what? A change in the path. What does the third law say? For every action, there's a reaction. If you start down with an action, the reaction to that action is going to come in the form of a path shift, for which you're either going to hit it offline, or you're going to have to compensate for that plane change through alignment, grip, ball position, all sorts of postural compensations. All those compensations can be made independently or in combination with other compensations, which make the thing even more complex. If you walked up to the top 100 money winners on the tour and you ask them, how do you compensate for energy that you internalize during the downswing, they'd look at you and go, what the heck are you talking about? I don't do that. And every one of them, with few exceptions, have some level of compensation in their moves. So the players that keep going to the well too often, see, there's a strong move among tour players today to try to get every yard out of the swing that they can. When you start combining power sources, when you use the counterfall and the turn as they do in the pure gravity swing, and then you start doing what Tiger does, he starts adding that muscle when he picks up a driver. You watch him hit an iron and he's very well behaved, picks up a driver, and it's like a switch flips in him. It's just matches his personality. He's got to have the biggest house, the biggest car, all the trophies, all the money, all the women, and he wants to be the longest driver. He can't stand to be outdriven. And as soon as he starts adding that power source, he starts to get jumping in the plane. He starts hitting his driver, into trouble. Not only that, and this is very important for all your students to realize, is that the more extraneous force you use in the downswing, that energy that goes back into your body is seeking something to tear apart, whether it's your front knee or your lower back, which Tiger's done both in his golf swing. He's trying, every time he swings a driver, inadvertently he is trying to dismember himself at one joint or another. So he's still, and I personally believe, and I'd love your opinion on it, I think that one of the reasons that he's changed coaches so many times is that he feels that he doesn't have total understanding and control of his body in the golf swing. He made the comment, do you know when it was, where he said he felt that only two players in his scope of awareness had totally owned their golf swings. One of them was Mo Norman and the other one was Ben Hogan.
I think he said Trevino.
He did?
I think so.
I thought he had left Trevino out of there. He certainly left Nicklaus off that list, and he left himself off that list. He left Sam Snead off the list. So
it's too short a list.
It's a pretty short list. But what I've been trying to do with my research is to figure out how the body is supposed to ideally function so that you can develop full control of your body in the swing. Over the past 40 years, I've developed at least 130 different drills, most of which we've thrown out. All the drills that can be cheated and compensated, we've thrown them out, and now we're trying to find drills that will isolate perfect technique in your body, even if you don't know what you're looking for. How many of you all have ever gone to the practice tee? I know I've done it at least a couple of thousand days, and just dump your golf balls on the ground and stand there. I just stand there and stare at them and go, well, what the hell am I going to try today? Every day it's something different where you're out there trying to take your thumb and get it on a shadow and catch the thing. And it'll vary depending on how you feel. You can make a little bitty postural change, everything will go south on you. So the better that you understand how your body works, the easier it is to get to a root issue if something's going wrong. A golf swing is very much like other forms of sports. It all is, Jack says right in his book, he said, I know by the time I move the club 1 foot in the takeaway whether or not I'm going to hit it perfectly. Why is that, Jack? No answer. He just makes that statement. Well, what he feels is that if the swing doesn't start right, that the odds of it finishing up correctly are very, very remote. If you watch a springboard diver do a dive, if they're going to perfectly hit the entry angle into the water, by and large it's going to happen in the spring to get the proper tumble rate on their body. Same thing with a gymnast doing a tumbling run. If they're going to stick the landing, when she hits the springboard in the pommel is when the ability to have the proper rotation so that she can hit the ground and go to a dead halt is all there. That's what we're trying to do hitting golf balls, is to stick the landing in a state of perfect equilibrium every time we swing the golf club. So I've gone through all these different drills over the years trying to magnify improprieties in power application. That's what all the drills do. They work just like an MRI on your swing, so that if you have energy that's backflowing, y'all ever wonder why fabulous athletes from other sports have difficulty making inroads into golf? Why do you suppose? They're all big and strong and have a ton of leverage and a lot of muscle. Their impulse when they get over a golf ball is to draw back and use that strength on that ball. And they fail to realize that part of that energy is going to the ball, part of it's coming back in. Anything coming in is going to shift it. When you look at Charles Barkley or Michael Jordan, you're not talking about uncoordinated people. They pick up a golf club, they have no earthly idea how to handle the tools. Barkley goes back, he makes no counterfall. He starts down and he senses in his brain that his core won't move and he can't sling his arms. And he reaches back for the X factor. Now he feels enough separation where at least he can get moving and going. If he understood how to employ the counterfall to start the downswing, then his arms would drop and he could knock the daylights out of it. So there's a lot going on in the swing. I want to show you all this drill. I actually developed it about 2 years ago for John. He did it. I was up working on him in Fort Smith, Arkansas. He did it for, what, a day or two?
3 days.
And then I left town, and the parking lot was right next to the driving range, and he caught one in the toe and winged it right over a new Mercedes out there, and then he stopped doing the drill for about 8 months. but we got him. He's down and training in Orlando now. He works at Tranquilo at the Four Seasons, and he's training to play professionally. John Edgen is his name. This is my son Daniel Lee, and this is Logan Terry. He's one of my students from Michigan, and I'm going to have them do a few of these drills for you. We'll let them hit a few swings out of their normal swing and then show you the drill. And this drill, it's so cool because you can use it on your students that don't speak a word of English. You don't even have to dialogue with them. Just get up and demo the drill for them and let them say, you know, monkey see, monkey do. You get up and do what I do, and this will it'll start to work for you. And you'll be amazed. I had a guy come to me, he wasn't doing this drill, but he came to me from Tokyo, brand new player. He spoke about 10 words of English, about the extent of my Japanese, and stayed with 3 days from me, went home and practiced the drills, and won his club championship at gross within 2 years. So what all of these drills do is they magnify your sensitivity to the impropriety of using muscle in the delivery, and they show you how to apply power correctly from out of the ground. John, you want to hit a couple out of your normal mode there, and let's see if you can flush. Mm-hmm. Look pretty good.
Little pressure there.
Yeah. Huh?
You guys throwing me in the fire first.
What? You'll feel the fire when you get out there playing. It's good.
Since I started the turnarounds, the main thing that helped me with the turnarounds is I wish that there was a way that I could mimic my old swing, and there's no way that I can even try because it was so slow and it was horrible. I felt like I was sitting in mud. And all of a sudden my distance picked up, so I picked up probably 30 yards in distance just within the first month of doing this. And I believe that it's because my lower body came to life. And it was always, like before I could never get my lower body going. It was all an upper body move. And I started doing this, and that was the big thing that I noticed was distance. My distance had picked up tremendously.
I know that some of y'all tried this turnaround drill today. See, that was the reason, the problem I had with John. I had been teaching him for a number of years since he was a kid. His dad would bring him from Fort Smith down to Hot Springs, and I'd have him a couple of times a year. We'd work for a few hours and he'd go home. But he's always been kind of real laid back, and his golf swing made Ernie Els look violent. But I go, John, you don't have to work hard, but you do have to move. I couldn't get his feet out of the mud. And I was thinking about this one day. I said, I've got to do something to make him move. And I dreamt up this exercise, and he started doing it, and he picked it up pretty quickly. Within 30 minutes, the elapsed time of his swing, which is the hardest thing to change in somebody, isn't it? The elapsed time of the swing. His elapsed time dropped by close to 10% in his swing. And interestingly, I've put some other players in this drill that have swung too fast, and it makes them slow down. And I watched this. When I saw that happen, I went, holy cow, here is a drill that is perfectly regulating to the timing, whether you're going too slow or too fast. It's going to bring you to the ideal tempo for your own physiology. And also, it allows you not only to develop perfect control of your footwork, it gets every bit of the upper body out of your swing whatsoever. You can watch this drill when it's done, and when the player comes around and lands, what you want to look for is the absence of a page break where the top where the upper body hunts the ball. If you do it perfectly, you turn around and just go, just like you were watching a world's record in the hammer throw. There are no page breaks in a hammer throw. if you put a page break in a hammer throw, you would seriously hurt yourself. We don't have that threat in the golf swing. Now we can potentially injure ourselves by adding the upper body, but it's not going to be to the extent that you could hurt yourself throwing a 16-pound ball and cable. So what you want to look for is he turns around and lands. Now turn around and stop when you hit the left foot. See, when he lands on his left leg and is ready to deflect into the counterfall, he should have his full available shoulder turn and arm travel. He should have all of that left to come. If you turn around and when you land, your shoulders are already here, you know you've dumped part of your swing before the, see right there, is that what you, that's what you call the X factor, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you need to be. Turn around and stop and let it leak so they can see what I'm talking about here. See, if you're already there, when that, see his turn, rotation hasn't started. So this becomes the true top of the backswing. It doesn't matter how far he went back. It's where your shoulders and arms are when that turn starts. Okay. All right. Let it rip. See if you can find it. Anybody that wants to get up and see if they can trump that can go for it, huh? Huh? But you're not going to try it with John's driver.
Exactly.
Do you have a club? I would, yeah, you know, get about a 6 or 7 iron and try it. I'll warn all of y'all, until you start getting control of your feet, don't do this with a driver. If you tee it up in the air and you land too close to it and you hit the driver in the shaft, it will break your driver like that. You can take a 3-wood off the ground, or you can do it with any iron. But take a practice swing first. Just face it, and it's 3 steps.
So I should go.
Yeah, with the club held vertically.
Okay.
All right, now the first step, you're going to start with your left foot, and the second step is a hop, where your right foot's got to go 180 degrees.
So like that, and then
Hop, and then land and go. Now, you got to have dynamics through the whole thing.
Go practice shot. Go hit it first. Yeah. Jeez, I shouldn't have suggested that. Yeah.
Now that second step was kind of a step. You want to hop. Do it, John. Watch how he moves in the. Watch it. Boom.
Yeah.
That's all right. You actually, that swing wasn't bad. You almost got it there.
Okay.
You feel, so after feeling those swings, do you feel like you own your footwork?
Yeah.
You do? I asked him if he felt like he owned his footwork. He said he did.
Yeah. He's a very good player. 7 years playing.
You got it, huh? So that was good, huh?
7 in the morning.
Took you what? Let me tell you what. After you practice that, it will take you to master control of your feet. Probably take most any person at least 6 months to do it, to get yourself to where you can turn around and have your feet go exactly where they're supposed to go, so that the pickup of that happens. And then once you get to where you can master it on the range, you need to take it to the golf course and feel what a powerful magnet the targets on the course become. It's different. It's a lot different out there when you've got one chance to find it. Not only that, you have all the different contours, so you have to adjust the geometry of your turns to the contours so you can find it. So playing out of that drill will teach you more about how to control your body in a golf swing than anything I've ever witnessed in as long as I've been teaching the game. Logan, you want to hit a couple? Yeah, hit a couple out of your normal swing and then do the drill.
Yeah, but not where he does the heave, but he's got the arms up.
So, yeah, tee it up over here, Logan, and do the turnaround. Kind of tell them a little bit about where you've come from and your background.
Well, I'm 32 years old, and I had played professionally out of college, and I had been what I would call a very technical player. Always had the camera out, always drawing all the lines. I had got advice from a lot of people, and in those years I got worse. Every year I was trying to play professionally, and 4 or 5 years later I decided getting to shoot even par was getting tough at that point, and I gave it up, and I quit the game for 5 or 6 years, and actually revisited some of David's material. I had done it a lot when I was a kid. I bought the DVDs. I had my dad buy the DVDs when I was 12 years old, and I broke 190 and 80 in 18 months, a year and a half. But around that time, Tiger Woods was working on his swing and changing it and starting to win everything, and I decided that's what I needed to do as well. And I started getting very technical and left his material and refound it this year, only 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
Roughly. Started doing the drills, and my swing's made so many great strides, and I've really gotten to the point where I'm actually considering playing professionally again, and my mechanics have changed so much without even thinking about it. No camera work, no technique work, and just doing my drills and hitting the ball. And it's been really life-changing for me, being so technical before and losing the game and not being able to play at all, and now struggling to break 80 and sometimes even 90 while I quit. I would play once or twice with my family, and it got really bad for a while. So revisiting his material, and now it's it gets hard to shoot over par now. It gets hard to shoot, I shoot under par every time I play basically, and it's been pretty fantastic. I have him and his material, and the fact that him and his son are willing to put all the information out there on YouTube, and have them to thank, and it's been a great experience and a lot of fun. So definitely happy to try and show some of this stuff off for him.
Go for it.
Turn around.
See if you can find the club face.
That's a good thing, people get so technical.
Oh. Popped it pretty good.
I think, like David will tell you, there's no time to think about anything. There's no time to try and consciously do any of this. Your brain's figuring it out as you go along, and every day I do this, I learn something about my golf swing, and I swing better that day and the next day, and I don't know how to explain it, but it's really fun to be a part of.
I wish we could explain exactly how the brain figures this out.
Well, it comes about from your step thing when you were like we do when you keep your feet moving.
The problem with that one is it can be fake. See, people go through the footwork, and then as long as they have visual contact with the ball, they can re-engage the top.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to let that club swing. That was it.
That was popped.
Logan, what's your club head speed?
My stock swing's about 118, and I can, if I get it cranking, really turning fast and really getting soft. After some of these drills, I can get up to like 122.
That's pretty good.
I'd like to see what it is with this drill because I know it adds a little bit of juice to it.
I did 120 when I was 62 years old on track.
That's pretty good.
Really? Wow. Well,
Yeah. You got time.
man, you've always had a great swing, though, as long as I've known you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, 40
Yeah, but I'm doing like
4 years to get
Huh?
39 now.
So,
you can get it there.
Yeah, 6 miles to go.
I want you to tell them that Trevino story too. That's a cool thing. What would you do if it's that Trevino? I didn't even know. No one would know what to do.
what with his?
Big blocks, or just me getting a little anxious with my upper body, like he talked about. You know, if I land, I have a tendency to get add a little of my upper body muscle and get it down here, and that's where you see those big rights. So I'm going to really try and soften this one up, straighten that out.
There it is. So,
The beauty about the drills is they teach you to feel that. I don't need him to tell me. It's nice when he does, but that drill taught me exactly what to feel there to fix that. And I've never had, you know, like I said, I was always putting up the camera, drawing lines, trying to get everything perfect, but I had no idea what I was doing. I had no actual feedback, and you know, I can do this drill, don't need to see anything, and know exactly what I'm doing wrong. So
How many fairways do you hit with that club?
normally,
Yeah.
I mean, for how far I hit, I think I drive it pretty straight. I'm usually in the, you know, the 8 to 11ish.
That's pretty good.
I have some 14 fairway days.
Yeah.
Not as often as I would like, but you know,
Yeah.
I got more work to do. So I think David will tell you I'm only, what, 60% with this drill so far?
I'd say I kind of watch someone and try to assess where I feel that they are as far as having total control of their legs. And even John's been doing this a little bit longer. I think on the tee he's probably somewhere around 70% of the way, and Logan's getting there quick too, of owning their footwork. And you want to get this drill to where you can draw it and fade it through a corridor, have it start at your start line and not cross your end line. So you want to get enough control of yourself to where you can turn around and make that ball do exactly what you want it to, whether you want to draw it, fade it, or hit it straight, or whatever trajectory you want to put it on. So there is a level to which you can train your body through this exercise that I think is my personal opinion for the many years I've been messing with this. I think you can take your golf swing to a level through this exercise that is beyond your imagination. And especially you'll feel this. Bob was out there. You see how much harder this is to do on the golf course when you've got a real live target in front of you. You were doing it and you felt it out there today.
Yeah.
Trying to get your feet to go where they're supposed to go is a tall order. So, what were you at?
Working with Trevino, like what would you do? if Trevino asked you to work on his swing.
Oh,
David had a good story. I thought he's worked with him quite a bit of times, but.
I started working on Trevino in 1995, which is a little nerve-wracking because he's always railed teachers. You know, he said, why should I let anybody work on my swing that can't beat me? And he was over in Tampa at the senior Suncoast Classic over there, and it was Wednesday, and for some reason, it was Thursday. He wasn't playing in the Pro-Am. You watch. Danny hit it out of your normal swing. When you watch his normal golf swing, you will see the same dynamics in his leg work that you see in the drill. And that's something to be able to visually look at the finished swing and to ascertain how much of that power is coming from the ground up and how much is coming from the top down is the hardest thing in the world to visually assess. It's incredibly difficult, but when you're doing this exercise, you can feel it the instant you do it. If you have a breath of tension coming out of that top, it's like a cold slap in the mouth when you do it. So thank you, Danny, that was good. What I look for in the swing, the way I measure a golf swing is by the efficiency of movement in that swing. How much power comes out of it versus the amount of effort that went into making it. That's my measure of a golf swing. You see a lot of people, you know, like guys on the long drive championship that can absolutely carterize the golf ball, but I mean, they're doing everything but jump out of their shoes when they do it. I think if some of those long drive guys started practicing this drill, they'd be amazed at what happened to their distance when they hit it, and plus it would be a lot easier for them to hit the grid.
You might break some drivers in the process.
There would be a few drivers go down. Well, like I said earlier, you don't want to start this with your driver. You want to start it with a fairway wood off the ground or something where if you know, a club that has enough hosel where if you hit it in the steel hosel, it won't break. If you land too close to it when you've got it teed up and hit it in the shaft, you're going to break the shaft with your driver just like that. So I wouldn't recommend to anybody until they get pretty decent control of their footwork that they even think about trying this with the driver. Jim can do it with a driver.
Easy.
Easy.
That was great.
Well, go ahead.
Do you think that me growing up playing soccer,
Huge help.
that's what I just told you.
Soccer players and hockey players are super easy to teach, you know, because they have such great leg work.
Yeah.
So,
I got a quick question
Okay.
about your son and your students when they're setting up, not doing a
Mhm.
drill. Do you talk to them at all about with the driver, the pressure and the weight at setup? Because when I watched your son just hit, trying to figure out where his weight and his pressure.
well, their weight's going to be balanced between the balls of the feet and the heels, and they try to keep going so that when they see if you get too still over the ball and you triangulate yourself, you can put yourself into a state of immobility. And if you do that, then you're going to labor excessively to break the weight out of your left side, and your swing will be out of timing in a heartbeat. That's why when you watch Trevino set up to it, he's always moving when he's ready to break that weight and go. He doesn't stand over that ball and get his feet planted in stone. He is going. Chi-Chi's was the same way.
Got criticized for
And even, see, even Jack, see, when he picked his feet up and down, he never did it like this, where he was always lifting his feet from his glutes, preparing his hips to be able to move back and forth. You've got to have freedom in your hip girdle to be able to use your lower body. Any other questions? I'll be glad to answer any questions that you all have.
It's just like a kind of, I want to start trying it for a reason that I think is correct, but you correct me if I'm wrong. So,
Okay.
I'm working on getting more upper body rotation on the downswing so that I have a two-way miss typically where I get stuck too far inside or the face closes in and the target's starting to the left. So,
Hang on a second.
By doing like the kind of jump step turn thing where you're already rotating to start, once you get to the very top where you're ready to counterfall, you're actually probably going to be able to rotate through the shot a lot easier.
Your top will come through with no effort whatsoever.
Yeah.
See, and if you're getting a two-way miss, that's telling you right off the bat that you're using some level of top to start that downswing.
Yeah.
Grab you an iron and try it if you want to.
All right, well,
Go for it.
I'll make a fool of myself. But
Huh?
Swing. He's got a good move.
Hey, listen,
we have that.
if you play professional golf, you got over making a fool out of yourself a long time ago. Really. Yeah, if you're afraid of making a fool of yourself, you need to find a different sport.
Definitely a different drill.
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing, what he just said there triggered something in my brain. See, one of the reasons that gravity golf hasn't gotten deeper into the world than it already has, people will come to my schools and they'll go home. This happens all the time. They'll go home and they'll be out on the tee doing a drill, and they won't be doing it very well. They'll be having trouble with it. Listen to this. This happens. I want you to hear this. They'll come out there and be doing a drill, and
Well, this would actually be good to get the hands high.
oh yeah, absolutely.
That's actually a good one, I think.
The pro will be watching them, and they'll be fighting with a drill, and he'll be standing over there 50 yards away going, "There's Jim. It looks to me like he's falling out of a tall tree." And they'll finally come over there, and if you've missed enough shots, he'll say, "Are you doing that crazy gravity golf stuff? Can't you see it doesn't work? Look how poorly you're hitting the ball." And he immediately intimidates them out of doing the drills, and they'll go back to doing their same old stuff they've been doing. If you do the drills, you'll get the last laugh, I promise you. Okay.
Step in under the ball.
Left, and then
So you're gonna.
You want to, you start it with a club vertical, right there. Now, you start with your left foot. The second step is a hop. So you got to get your, you want to hop and turn left and get your right foot to go all the way around. Exactly. Now, when you land on your left foot, your shoulder should be all the way back. Start it up. And the club goes up in the second step. When you hop, you push the club up. Okay. Huh?
wow, that's tough.
What?
I mean, that was somewhat the right motion, right?
Uh-huh. Turn it up.
That was my first time taking.
Huh?
I got it.
Let it rip.
Like he said, it's a lot tougher to get lies and targets and everything.
Well, hey, he made contact with it the first time. That is great. Huh?
I pulled the arms down.
You felt them, didn't you? Okay.
Let's just keep going.
I got too close to the ball.
Now look, if you bring your arms around you as you're turning around, you won't be able to drop it in plane. So you want to push your arms vertically when you go up.
Yeah,
Push your club
I felt
shaft straight
I
up.
was
Yeah.
3/4 in low when I
Is he an analyzer?
Not at all.
Huh? No? Oh, okay. Look, you're swinging it around, you push it up.
I swear I got a pretty good. I can play golf, but I can't do
I know
that.
you can, but see, are you playing golf because your technique is greater because you're a high-level athlete who's compensating marginal
Yeah, a little bit of
technique,
that,
and
yeah.
that's the difference that we're looking for. All right, now, when you take your left foot and then you want to push it straight up, all the way to the top of your head.
On this step.
Yeah, right there. So. That swing was good. You just didn't land quite in the right place. That
Yeah.
swing did not look bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're not going to be able to really look at the ball when you hit it.
Your eyes are big cheater mechanisms, so when you turn your back to it, you're not going to be able to use your eyes to help you find it. You got to find it with your footwork.
Sweetie, don't say anything. Just come on. There you go.
All right, he got a piece of it. That didn't take long, did it?
David, what percentage of a lesson would you make the student? What time do you have lessons? Do you have like an hour or?
Yeah, typically most of my lessons last an hour, but an hour goes by pretty quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
How percentage of
There you
it?
go.
Huh?
Oh.
How about that? Huh?
What percentage of the lesson you give them? You make them do the drills or what?
Depends on, normally I have my students do one kind of a drill or another about 95% of their practice time. This is an important question. He asked a very good question here, and that is about what percentage of your lesson time should you be in the drills, and I said at least 95% of the time I'm typically in one drill or another. What is so cool about the different drills is that they teach the finished product without working in that mode. Every bit of trash training that people have developed in their golf swings have come from working in a normal swing mode. And that's the finished mode, is the mode from which you can compensate the very most without being aware that you're doing it. So if you get in the drill modes, you don't have any bad training in the drill modes because you haven't been doing them. Most people, when they get in the drills, their drill swing is almost immediately higher You can watch this happen in people. As soon as you put them in the drill modes, the flex that they've been using on practically every swing their entire life begins to go away. They will have technically better swing in that drill in 10 minutes than they've had in their normal swing in 30 years. Because their brain starts telegraphing to them how to move their body sequentially correct. You gonna get up and hit some? You were doing great today.
Sure.
Huh? Come on. And you, I'll tell you something about teaching women, because I teach a lot of women players. You put a woman in this drill, it will be no time she can fly it over 200 yards. You get a woman flying at 200 yards, she'll never quit golf.
She was ripping them. She's got better than that. I know she'll do it.
It's all right. Do it again. You just started back a hair too far from that.
Get a little more hop when you go into it.
Okay. Right here.
Good.
Thanks. Okay, wait. So more like hop when I go into it.
Yeah, hop. There you go. The second step is the hop because you got to get your right foot turned 180 degrees. You see she put a page break in that. You could see she landed and then hunted it. You could feel it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Take a practice swing and just let it go. No page breaks. There you go. Now come on, cut it loose. You got more zip than that. Huh? All right. One more time. Push arms up higher. All right. Let it go. Hello. All right. You almost got it turned over there, didn't you? That was great. Good job.
Come on, Martine.
I brought some videos. Now this drill is not in my videos because it's new, but I have some videos and some putting videos.
I remember,
So-
like, I remember in Argentina
Uh-huh.
that you still use. You have a good memory. The long patterns, long putts.
We don't. I use a standard length putter now because I had a lot of players wanting to use a standard length putter, but we still teach putting on the arc just like the swing. So.
So what if you had like Matt Kuchar,
Mhm.
really flat, almost one plane?